Man, I see you.
Yes, man. So today we got a chance to meet with three-time back-to-back champ Showtime Keith. He's here
What's
today
up?
talking to us
What's
about
up?
finance. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. Just I took about 4 days off from the gym. I really had to just let the body reset. I'm back in the office now, so it's a little different with my schedule. So I'm just trying to, readjust things and get back online with my prep. A lot of time I be cooking on the clock, so it's a little different now. Now that I'm back in the office, I got to figure out how to get this meal schedule down.
Oh yeah, I know how that is. So now, if an athlete, because we talked last time about tax write-offs, and a lot of people
Mm.
caught like little nuggets from it. Like even Eric Murphy, he caught some nuggets from it that he didn't know about that he started using. Now,
Yeah.
if an athlete, in order to use those nuggets, what do they have to do? Like they have to get an LLC, or did they have to get like at least be recognized with a tax identification number, or what do they got to do to be eligible to write those tax write-offs?
Of it, you have to be incorporated. So you do have to have some type of business that you're writing your taxes under, and you have to have an EIN number or identification number. And that's EIN number. You can easily, it's free of charge. You can get it off the IRS website. It takes about 5 minutes to do. Um, the incorporation of it, if you want to decide to do an LLC or S corporation, LLC is the most popular, most convenient one for most majority of business, especially if you're didn't know anything about it. So LLC would be most appropriate, more likely for you. So, and that's easy to do off the website. Now, for us, it's the Sun Business for Florida, but everyone has their own website according to their state, what to register for the LLC, and that one's a
Now,
charge. I forgot the charge. I think it's like 150. I think for the first time to
oh,
register your business, incorporate your business.
okay, because I see you also y'all started a show as well. You got it coming next year in April.
Yeah.
Um, so now, like, did that help you as well? Like, because you out here doing shows and you're promoting the show. So doing these shows. Oh, go ahead.
It'd be very separate, especially because of that. Me and Josh are partners for this show, so it's not just
Mhm,
solely me. Still, the tech corporation, all that things would be a lot separate. So I
mhm,
try not to tie anything up to my travel expenses or anything this year that's not show related,
mhm,
directly show related for the travel of it. So it's easy for me to just tie it to the show team Showtime because majority of shows I travel to, I have clients or have someone under the brand of Team Showtime. So it's very easy for me to relate those experiences. And of course, when I travel for shows, I'm normally an athlete they spotlight, so that's easy for me to tie my expenses as well um, to Team Showtime.
nice. Now, what about like photos for your shows? Is that tax write off because it's part of bring for your brand? Like when you do photo shoots, can a person write that off for taxes?
It depends on how it's because I do independent contract modeling. So it
Hmm.
depends if it's a photo shoot that's not related to the agency, then no. But if if I'm providing a service, because that's the necessary the that's the basis of being able to qualify as a tax write-off. Are you providing any type of service?
Hmm.
What are you doing that pretty much qualifies for a tax write-off because you have to provide some type of service. So,
Hmm.
for example, I use in our video, if you a posing coach like I am, I'm going.
Hmm.
One of my clients is in the show. If I actually have a posing lesson with them, check in or show day, both of those days would count as providing a service. Or if I have a business meeting regarding going over their finances for any type of finances for their shows, because I do consulting, that will also fall all up under that for me to be able to do a taxable trip for that day. I provide service. So that dinner, if I had to fly out to provide that service, the flight, I had to get a hotel room. All that is covered under that
Hmm.
regarding the tax right because I'm providing a service. If I'm being spotlighted for a show and I'm competing,
Hmm.
like for Tampa Expo, I was their spotlight athlete for that show. Me and Jay Wright. So anything of my expenses that me driving up, my gas, me if I had to pay for a hotel, anything regarding my expenses regarding to that show will be taken care of as a tax write-off because they're spotlighting me as an athlete and using me to provide a service for them. So to sell more tickets. But so that in that particular instance, if you just got to be in the very basic, you got to provide some type of service to be able to count that as a taxable event.
Now, is it? Some people might wonder: is it really worth like writing down every little thing you spend for tax write off? And in the end of the day, when you write your taxes off, does it make a big difference in how much money you save on your taxes versus?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I'll let you finish your question. I apologize.
I mean, is it worth it versus not doing it? Do you notice a big difference in money you saved on your taxes?
100%, especially depending on what tax bracket you're in. If you're in that tax bracket where, because I talked about before, there's different tax brackets. Single family, if you're under 80,000, you're in you're probably taxed at, I think it was like a 12%, I think 18%. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I had it written down when we had our conversation before, but you was taxed around, I think it was like 12% or 15%. But as soon as you jump over that 90,000 point, single 90,000, then you're in a tax bracket that's in the upper middle class, which we always talked about get screwed. And this is the reason why, because your tax is double. You're in the 23%, the same tax bracket someone that's making 150, 170,000. So you're only making a half of what they're making, but you're getting taxed at the same amount. So that's why that having some type of LLC or some type of business that's affiliated with yourself and incorporated that you could use for a taxable event, you could take at least a standard deduction. I don't necessarily count every little thing that I incorporate, but I do keep a round up number or a roundabout number. So I have an idea. I spent this amount of money on a trip. I spent about $405 on this show. For me to travel to a show, it's going to be at least like, well, hotel and flight, you're looking minimum of $800 that you are spending just on that flight, just on like convenience of flight and hotel. But so I know roundabout I paid that much for that show. I had to pay for any photo packages related to that show, right? Anything we're on that show, it's easy $1,000. That show that I come out of my own pocket that I could easily write off. So I try to keep it the standard deduction is $12,000. If your joint tax is $24,000, so I just try to keep it around the standard deduction. That way I don't have to itemize my every little thing that I have to count for, like gas and hotels and food and travel expenses and clothing, like anything regarding. You don't have to itemize all your deductibles if you only take the standard deduction, because they have a box that says standard deduction. Click. You don't have to take the standard deduction, so you don't have to. Only time you have to itemize it if you're doing over the standard deduction, and now the IRS is telling you to prove it. So what do you really do? So that's telling you to prove it, and especially IRS have a lot of forgiving, because especially for new business owners, because they know it takes a little bit to start up your business, so they expect you to take a loss. So you don't have to necessarily make a profit the first 2 years, understandably. But you do have to track your expenses enough where you can take the standard deduction or kind of know where you are in that standpoint. But you do have to have the basic minimum as having an LLC, having an EIN number, and to be providing some type of service to be qualified. That's just the basis of it.
Now,
but it's definitely worth it.
Oh, okay. Now that brings me to my next question. So when does it become noticed by the IRS as being a hobby versus being like your business? Like when does it come to like you've been writing out for so long, they be like, all right, you're not making any money now or whatever, it's not considered a hobby? Is there a timeline when you got to show that you start making profit?
After your second year. They're a little more skeptical of. They're a little more. They always going to look into you, so I don't want to say that you're hiding from the IRS, but you are expected to make a profit after your second year. But then now it's becoming more of a hobby, and then those write-offs won't be as valid as many. You'll be looked at more you'll be looking more cautiously after that second year. The first year you'll have a little bit there, but after the second year, definitely, because the third year they don't want you to come back and make a loss in the third year, because you have to rethink about your business strategy. It's just a prior reminder to you that this may not be the best thing for you. I mean, we try to help as much as we are. We're giving you tax breaks to try to help you in your new business, but after the third year, you're pretty much on your own. At that standpoint, you have to make some type of profit. So if you're not making a profit, then that would affect you in that standpoint. And I just want to circle back a little bit to the question you had: why does it help? we talked about that tax bracket. I want to put it in numbers. So, for example, if you was at $80,000, you probably pay around $4,000 to $5,000 in taxes. Where if you're, I think it's you will pay if you're $80,000 and you're paying around that 12% taxes, 12 to 15%. You're paying around $8,500 in taxes. That's it. You go up to that double tax percentage, or like 24%. I mean, you have to have paid 24% in taxes. So if you didn't pay 24% in taxes, more likely you did if you had that 90 or under 100,000 or $150 cuff. If you're under that, way under, because I think it's max is around 150. So if you're way under at 100 or 90,000 or 85, 95,000, then you're definitely probably reach your tax minimum. So you owe money at that standpoint. So that's a big $8,000 difference from just making, say you made 88,000 versus someone that makes 89,000. $1,000 difference can cost you another $8,000 in taxes. So is it really worth it? So that standpoint, having an LLC will break you down, because LLC tax deduction reduces your income of gross income. So you would say you take the standard deduction of 12,000, that will reduce your income by 12,000, taking you out of that 88,000 for your annual gross income, taking you down to the 70s, which will make you lower your tax bracket from that 24% to that 12 to 15%. And these numbers of percentages is not exactly accurate, but I know it's 20% when you're over the age of 90, at least more. I mean, when you're over the income of 90, and I know it's about 12 to 15, around that amount when you're under the 89.5, whatever it is, 88.5, whatever standpoint. But that's why it's important.
Okay. So if you're a person making 100, 150,000, then it'd be who of you to start your own business and do more shows, because you can use that as a write-off to offset your income.
Well, not even just do more shows. Even if you're not doing shows, let's say if you're just a personal trainer, let's say you're just a client, like you do a dietitian, you do people diets, or let's say you're a posing coach. You're doing that and collecting whatever cash apps, whatever you're doing, but you're not incorporated. You're cheating yourself not being incorporated, because you can get the tax benefits of being incorporated, in establishing some type of business credit, or in just actually having that type of relief, especially for people that a lot of times, especially our massive competitors, a lot of times these people don't work. So their spouse take care of most of the income. They do this as something to do for themselves, which is fine. But when you're joint, and you say your husband, let's say your spouse, husband or wife, makes majority of the money in there, and let's say you're filing jointly at 120,000. 120,000. Now you at a joint you can write off 24,000. So that will take you below that tax bracket. Instead of you paying that 22% down to 12%, and you just save your spouse, your family, your household. You just save your household that $8,000 in taxes. Just incorporating yourself, because you're already doing it. You're just not incorporating and tracking it.
Now, let's just run through the basics of starting a business. Like somebody say they just off the street, they have no idea what they're doing. They've been competing and they're doing like coaching and stuff. They have no idea what they're doing. What was the first? What steps they need to take to starting a business? They have no idea what's going on.
First, if they have some type of business and they're doing coaching, and that's their business on the side, then you should get incorporated. You should create an LLC and get incorporated, and then file an EIN. That's the very minimum that you have to do, and you should do. And it doesn't take much time. It doesn't cost much money, but it will save you a lot of money.
Nice. Now, do you? Is there any because I know you do a lot of finances and stuff. Is there any things that people do to fall in the pitfalls? Like most things that some common things you see that people do to make mistakes to end up causing them to do bad, not being successful. Is there any common mistakes people make that you would give advice about?
I'm not a tax advisor, but I am a finance guy. I'm a business guy. So I think after the first year, to back up, like I said, I always give you that 2 years for a reason. For you to really establish something that you're really going to do, or that you really think this through, and have a really solid business plan for it. Because if it's costing you money to actually establish this business, then maybe it's something that you need to rethink your business strategy or your way you're approaching this business. We have financial conversations all the time about get them. And how to strategically plan that. So, but you have to understand if you want to do anything, if it's a hobby, that's fine. It's fun, whatever. It's a hobby. You have to understand, is it a hobby or is it a business?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have to separate. Is it a hobby that you just put all your money into, more like charity, or is it a business?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have to really just distinguish the difference, and that would tell you after that first 2 years of how much money you put in or how much money you made out of it, if it's a hobby or it's a business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now my last question. So, like some people say, to give charity at the end of the year is a business. If you give charity, does that help help more in offsetting your taxes, or it doesn't really do much as far as a tax write off giving off to charity?
It just all applies to that standard deduction.
Okay.
It all goes towards it. Like I give me Team Showtime is not. I don't have it copyrighted for Showtime in 5 yet. So when I put that on T-shirts or jackets, I don't sell that things that don't have it copyrighted. So I would never sell anything that's not, I don't own the rights to. But so I just give that stuff away for free. I mean, I don't give it to everyone.
Everybody can start calling you up. Hey, Showtime, send me one.
Yeah. I get a lot of DMs like that. Now, I mean, if I feel like people supporting and they look out, now, I mean, of course, I don't mind giving it to them. I'm just gonna give it to somebody I never met. And then now you might just follow me on IG. I'm not gonna just give you a T-shirt. I mean, you pay for a T-shirt and pay for the brand and pay for shipping just to send you something. I don't even know you like that, which is fine. But if it's incorporated, yeah. If I hold the copyrights of it, then I'm selling. That's different. But I'm not just. I mean, you know how much money I spent on Team Showtime. I probably spent over $1,000 on Team just giving away, just giving away. That's just my way of giving back to people.
They're nice too, man.
Me. Yeah, just my way of giving back to support people that support me, or that we're more of a community of a family. So that's my way of, I show love by gifts, and that's just my way of showing my love. I mean, but yeah, man, charity in a nutshell would definitely count towards it. It would help to hit your number, but I mean that's something that you would have to decide on if that's necessary or not, because you do a lot of things out of your goodness of your heart just naturally as a human being. So you give stuff away for free all the time. So why not keep that calculation and make sure you calculate that and keep that in your finances, how much you actually have to give away personal finances of that.
I can see now people look at this video, but like, oh, Showtime give away free stuff. Hit them up.
I mean, I love to support the coach as much as I can, man, but I cannot go broke doing it.
Yeah, I know that feeling, man. Woo, boy, a lot of money.
Yeah, it's becoming a hobby for me. I mean, I don't make a ton of money off of nothing like that, but it does help me in my taxes standpoint, and it helps me support the hobby that I do. And that's the difference. I'm not making money off of Team Showtime, and so nowhere near it, but it does help me support with my write-ups that I get off of it. It helped me support what I am doing, and it doesn't cost me in the long run a whole bunch of money. And then you're just building a type of brand. So
now I know you got a lot of things going on, but just briefly tell us about your show you got coming up in April. Just briefly, because I know you got a lot of things coming on, but just want to give you a chance to show a little spotlight on your show, so people who's checking the video out can be aware of what you got coming up. You and Josh got coming up.
I'm pretty excited about this, man. Like, I always wanted my own show. I really wanted to put the full effort into it. So that's why I was thinking about doing it more in 2024. Then a good friend of mine, Josh, decided he wanted to do a show as well. So it was only no brainer that we paired up, because we're great friends and we're very, very good business-minded people. So we're pretty excited, man, because we want to put on not just a show, but just a very nice event. We want to, both of our personalities we both like nice things. We both like to create experience at our shows. We don't just go there and just, take our check. We just go there and just compete and leave. We like to create an experience out of it. Yeah. I mean, the process of going there, the process of getting prepared for it. We like to live a whole experience for it, because it's something that we do on the side of our real job, because we have a job that we have a 9-to-5 with. So it's just something that we do extra towards it. But so we want to capture that experience that we have, that we pretty much generate on our show experience. We want to bring it into our own show. So we have this whole thing. We bring Hollywood to Florida. One of the biggest things that we're doing that's different, we're doing the Showtime Gala, which is on Friday night for athletes check-in. So it's going to be mandatory for athletes to join this party, but it's going to be a formal event. I mean, dresses, suits, bring your kids, bring anyone that's with you to the event. We're going to have a lot of media day, 360 cameras. It's going to be, we're going to have a lot of camera people there. And it's something that we are providing for our athletes. So that's one big thing. That will be an athlete meeting. That way, the day of the show, they're not worried about getting there early to go to a meeting. and then they have to turn around and hurry to pump up, especially the people that go a lot early, especially because our pros go first. So we don't want them to be something that that pretty much eats into their time of getting prepared for a show. So we want to take care of that on Friday for the athlete meeting, and then Saturday they just show up when it's time for them to get ready for the show. But it's a Hollywood theme, man. We're doing something very different. We're not just giving out swords and just trophies. We're giving out Grammy type awards for our people, like Emmy type of awards. And then we only offering pro bikini, so they're again a guaranteed money, because we really wanted to spotlight the bikini class, because bikini class by far is the hardest judge criteria, because it's not plain black and white on their criteria. So it's left up to so much about perception. So we're trying to do our best to have a very experienced judging panel to make sure they're fairly judged on the criteria of bikini, but as well as make it a very good show and pay them pretty good for an early show. So we're guaranteeing $1,500 for first, $500 for second, and $300 for third. I'm trying to work in see if I can pay all top 5 for the open category. We are offering masters. So we'll have 1,000 for masters, 500 for second, and 300 for third for masters. But of course, masters can double dip, so they could come away with 2,500 if they win both categories as a master competitor. So that's gonna be. And then on top of that, we have championship belts, like huge queen tiaras, the ribbon rolls, the Showtime robe. They're gonna be pretty blessed as a pro. But then for our amateurs, we got them featured in the Get 'em magazine with yourself, and thank you for that sponsorship, allowing our amateurs to be sponsored be published in a magazine. And then we have the overall bikini winner on the cover. That way, when they come into their pro debut, they already have something taken with them. You're a pro now, and now you're in a magazine. I'm working on sponsorships to get them sponsored suits for classic bodybuilding, bikini, and men's physique. I have Chula is going to be a part of this line as well.
Nice.
Body bags. I'm working on a bikini sponsor. So we got a lot of things that we're trying to just not just do for athletes, but just try to make it a full experience, because bring our resources together and be able to show them what it's all about being a pro. But I wanted to bring them into their pro light right away. And then we also have them sponsor. We're sponsoring each class going into Florida Pro, and that's our Big Brother Pro show. Florida Pro is where I made my debut at. So I would love to always give back to them, because I'm not even competing with them next year. But we would like to sponsor all our athletes that win our show that goes pro. Because I'm gonna make sure I have enough people to get to the pro status to sponsor them into the Florida Pro. That way, they don't even have to worry about registration going to that show, so they can line up their next show without having to pay for an extra registration fee. And more than likely, they won't have to pay for a polygram as well. So they should be within that time frame where they don't have to pay for a polygram. So we're lowering a lot of their expenses going into their next show. And hopefully we can get some sponsorship from them suits. They don't have to worry about paying for a suit. So we're going to have you laced out and ready to go into your pro debut and looking good and bringing a lot of momentum with you.
Nice. Now that was Showtime Keith, 3-time back-to-back champ. And they're getting ready for the... there you go.
Total 6-time champ.
6-time champ. That's what I'm talking about. and coach. Thanks very much for the interview, man.
My pleasure. Time, man. You have a nice day.
You too. That was Showtime Keith.